Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. So this is basically a combination of all my beta videos that was running for tvOS 14, and in this video what we'll do is we'll just have a quick look at the final release, and also if for anybody who's been following what I've been doing in terms of the beta updates, just a quick update in terms of how to set your TV up now, or your Apple TV up. So if we come into software updates, as you can see, the tvOS 14 version number is, and the actual version number is 18J386. So that is the final release. And what you will want to do is just turn off beta updates at this point. The reason I say that is basically iOS 14 was obviously publicly released 2 days ago, and as a result, obviously everybody's updated that wanted to update, but yesterday they've actually also released iOS 14.1 beta for developers. Now, when it's jumping from 14.0 to 14.1, generally that's where you're going to have quite a few of the other features, and obviously with that it's partly to do with the release of the iPhone 12. And there will be certain features in there. Now, if it's a similar thing with the Apple TV, where we end up getting a 14.1 beta, before you jump to that, it's recommended that let somebody else try it on a device that isn't their daily driver, essentially. So I've actually turned off get beta updates just in case they do release a tvOS 14.1, just to be sure that it doesn't actually have any issues with it that basically breaks any of the features or functionality that we do actually have in the current version. So with that said, let's coming back to the home screen. So there was actually one bug that I discovered in tvOS 14.8, beta 14 beta 8, and that was basically whenever you actually played something on any of the apps, any of the streaming apps, what would happen is it wouldn't remember where you'd got to, and that included even when you'd finished a episode. So for example, I last week I started watching Defending Jacob, and basically what would happen is every time I went in, what I'll do is I'll just come into, what would happen is I would come in, I started watching it, and after the end of every episode, even when I was in this section and not just on the main page where it was up next. So with up next, sometimes what it'll do is it'll play the episode, and then whatever you've got stored as your next item, that will then pop up. But what was actually happening was, for example, if I watched episode 1, it wouldn't automatically go to episode 2 or even off of episode 2. But what would happen is it'd go back to, say, this main page, and your up next wouldn't actually reflect the episode that you've just watched. So essentially, what you are having to do is, after you've watched each episode, to make sure that it doesn't then go and play back that same one again, you had to hold on it and hit it as mark as watched. Obviously, it's already watched now, so it's not giving you the option. It'll give me on this. So if I click on that, as you can see, it gives mark episode as watched. The other thing it was doing was it wasn't actually remembering where you got to. So as you can see there, it's giving you the option to basically resume. And if this kicks in, just pause that. As you can see, it's resumed where it was left off. So that's something that wasn't working on any of the streaming apps. So it wasn't working on Netflix, it wasn't working on Amazon Prime, and it wasn't working on Apple TV Plus either. So thankfully with the official release, whatever that small bug was, because I didn't actually experience that in any of the previous betas. I'd been using the betas right from beta 2, I believe, upwards, and I hadn't actually had that bug in any of them. So thankfully they've sorted that. That was the one small little niggle that we still had, essentially, or came about as a result of beta 8. Now the other thing is, obviously I've had quite a few people ask me about the home icon. So the home icon will only appear on your Apple TV if you have some sort of a scene, or if you have cameras installed. So if you don't have any scene set up or any cameras, then you will not get the home icon. Okay, so unfortunately with the public release, as I was kind of expecting, because we'd not seen it in any of the previous versions, but we only get scene selection, we don't get access to our devices, so there's no actual functionality in terms of just being able to go in and turn lights on and off, or do anything that you would want to do without the use of scenes. Now when it comes to the cameras, as you can see, the front driveway camera is working, the back garden one is working. This room, the one that I'm in, that's working, and the living room one working as well. So the cameras are all working fine. I did discover that if you do this and you ask Siri to pull up the camera, show me the driveway. This picture seems to play a little clearer. I think it's something to do with the actual way it's set up. So that little window that you get, you can actually leave on whilst you're interacting with the rest of your Apple TV. So essentially you can even go in and watch an episode, and once it starts playing you can then pull that back up again. So say for example if you're in the middle of an episode, as you can see there, and then what happens is, if you notice on there it says press TV for full screen. So if I hit TV now, that will then go to full screen and it gives you audio. When you go to full screen, it will pause whatever you're playing, and then when you cancel out of it, it will go back and it will basically resume what you were doing essentially. So that's a good little thing. So for example, if you've ordered food, or if you're expecting a delivery, you can have that up on screen all the time. So from that point of view, it's really good that you don't have to make these 2 or 3 steps in order to view the cameras. But yeah, other than that, playback and everything from what I've used so far has been perfectly fine, as it was with all the betas. Everything basically nice and smooth. Obviously, as most of you will know who've watched any of my previous videos, both of these are battery powered cameras, so these ones do take a couple of seconds to load up, whereas the powered cameras are literally instant, so they kick in straight away. Other than that, not much else basically to report on. I did say I was going to make a video on the gaming, but considering how well everything else has run, and also the fact that I had a lot going on with iOS 14, and basically this past week I've been on night shift as well, just not had a chance to record any videos. So today I thought I'd put out a video just for everybody who was wondering. The other big one is obviously YouTube. So okay, so if we find one of my videos and I click on this, as you can see from the icon beforehand, this is 4K. And if I just come across and click it, as you can see, still no 4K option. And as I've said before, this is most likely going to be a software update. So this is where YouTube needs to actually update their app. At the moment, I've not actually been back in to see if there's any updates that have happened, but obviously with it, yeah, so Infuse, yeah, they did tweet out, to be fair, straight away, pretty much when iOS 14 was released publicly, that they've got an update. But as you can see, virtually nobody else has actually done any updates. These ones were all here prior. So Infuse is the only one that's been updated again. But other than that, so that I'd expect to come sometime soon. It really comes down to Google updating that particular app. Everything else in terms of functionality works perfectly well, and obviously you've got the extra home features. So for anybody out there that does make use of HomeKit, I'd highly recommend updating to this once the doorbell functionality actually kicks in as well. Obviously at the moment I've got a Eufy doorbell and I can't actually test that right now because it's not got HomeKit yet. It is supposed to be coming. I would have thought with the release of tvOS 14, that's when they would have wanted to actually bring the functionality, but obviously it comes down to whatever their timing schedule is. So hopefully they can release that sometime soon. So yeah, until the next one, thank you very much for watching.